All right. So we are pretty much right at the top of the hour. So I think we will go ahead and do some introductions here and get ready to get started. So welcome everybody to our early career and trainee committee roundtable. We're so happy to have you here, and we're really excited to hear all the things that you have to share with us today, things that you have to bring to the table, so to speak. I just wanted to start things off by introducing our ISHLT president, Dr. Joseph Stellick, and give him a few moments to kind of introduce himself to the group and share some wisdom. I think, sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, let me start talking again. All right. Can you now hear me? I hope so. So, Andrea, thank you for the kind introduction, and everybody, thank you for attending the webinar. We are really happy you're here. And I just have a few words, and I think trainees and junior members of the society are extremely important in establishing the direction for the society and for us to determine what are the needs and what is the future where the society should be moving. And we have been trying to get that information in different formats, and of course, this is one of them. This is one of them just to discuss things and talk about ideas. I'm very happy to announce one thing that we are planning already for the time of our annual meeting, and the final name has not been determined for that activity yet, but it will be symposium for fellows of this or trainees of the society. And one of the reasons we don't have the final name yet, because fellows are not called fellows all over the globe. So it will probably have something in the name. It will have trainees, but it will be a standalone meeting for trainees in our society, even a smaller group, that early career membership. And we are hoping that we will kick it off on a good note, and that this will become an annual meeting that might even be separated from the annual meeting, and will be a standalone meeting for trainees in our society. And so with that, I'm really looking forward to participating in this hour and interacting more. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you so much for the exciting announcement and for your warm welcome. I'm gonna just get our slideshow up here. Mm, Okay. So, I figured that one of the things that we would start with today, just to get everybody warmed up and excited to be talking about the society, because we have a large group of people coming who have all different experience with the society. I figured we could do just a little bit of a breakdown of how the society structure is broken down and some of the typical questions that we get a lot of whenever we have new members. So I think we all kind of have been in this space before where maybe it's your first time at ISHLT, or maybe you haven't attended an annual meeting yet. And when you get there, you say, I don't really know how this society works, and what are the different names of professional communities and IDNs, and how exactly does this work, and how do I function within this society? So I think one of the things that is really easy to go through is just kind of the breakdown of how the society is broken into segments. And what you can see here that I have outlined for you all, and you'll get this presentation afterwards as well too, is that we have the society broken into interdisciplinary networks as well as professional communities. And the way to think about this is that your interdisciplinary network is kind of a focus to be able to bring together all of the professionals who make up the care team. So your cheat there is that you're thinking of like your practice area, your disease. So you're thinking heart, lung, MCS, pulmonary vascular disease are kind of your IDNs that house the whole society. And then beyond that, we break down further into professional communities. And each of these professional communities gets representation in different parts of the society. So, for example, within our early career and trainee committee, we have members from each of these different components of the professional communities to represent. So you can see all of the different specialties that are listed there in terms of having a really diverse and broad multidisciplinary representation throughout the society. Long story short, really these two groups make it so that there's always a place for you here. And I think one of the next things that I just wanted to go through quickly with you all is kind of a lot of people say, I have this idea or I have a new proposal that I want to bring to the table. And how do I bring that to somebody? What does that look like? So we just have a quick outline here of exactly what that looks like. Um, so specifically starting with anytime that you come up with an idea, ideas can really come from anywhere within the entire organization, and they could be proposed by members, committees, or communities. And generally, what would happen is you would take an idea back to one of these people listed here. So whether it be your professional community, your steering committees, or your operating committees, and share those ideas to kind of get input from the remainder of those groups. The second thing that you would do here is that the ideas would then get put together in terms of some sort of proposal, depending on what the idea is, and it'll go through appropriate committees to get approval. So there's a bunch of different approval pathways, and depending on what type of thing you're trying to submit, it might be going in one direction or another. So you can see if you have something that's more education based or clinical, it might go to your IDN steering committee versus if you're trying to come up with an interest group, for example, that would go to the professional community. So you can see two examples here where you can see if there was like a request through the ethics committee to survey members on experiences in countries where the cultural norms differ around donor consent, it might get kicked to the membership and outreach oversight committee for approval. And what committees and things these get kicked to are not something you have to worry about too much, just to know that there's a lot of oversight and a lot of people involved. The next thing that would happen is that it goes through a final approval process. And really, one of the main reasons that this is important is if the idea requires any sort of financial or staff resources. So there's a leadership advisory forum that provides input and then helps guide the board on any of the issues that are brought up. And all of these types of things are being discussed via email, via meetings all year long, even not during the timing of the annual meeting. And then the last thing is really just execution. So after the idea gets approved, participants get nominated in a variety of different ways. So you might get nominated by the person who proposed it, or there might be an open call to members where we say, hey, we're working on this next thing, and we're looking for volunteers, and people can all sign up that way. Usually those open calls get sent out via email, and then also within ISHLT as well. Especially on the Connect boards, you could find some of those different things there as well. And this here is just a photo that I put up of your ECTC community. The reason that I shared this specific slide is just that you can see that you have representation from all your different PCs across the board here. And anytime that you have an idea or something that you want to reach out about, anyone on this page is definitely a good person to reach out to. We're all very reachable and easy to get in touch with. And even if, we're not within your specific PC or IDN, we can always put you in touch with one of the other people because we all know each other. So really the biggest thing and most important thing within ISHLT is that we're all a community and we all get to know each other very well. So the whole goal is to have you be a part of that community. Um, and we'll come back to this after we do our breakout groups and sessions, but essentially, we have kind of started to compile different ways that you might be able to get involved. And these are all clickable links that I'll be able to share with you all afterwards. So there's different things that are open right now, like our call for abstracts or our research grants. We have scholarships to apply for. And then anytime that you're hoping to start collaborating on something, starting a conversation within the ISHLT Connect group is always a good place to start. So without further ado, I think we are probably in a place where we can move towards going into our breakout rooms.
Hi, Andrea. Thanks for sharing all of that information. I do want to let you know that we had a slight technical issue and we weren't able to get the breakout rooms sorted out. So we're going to have a big family discussion with the entire group. If you, Morgan, and Bailey are okay co-moderating that. To all of our attendees, we've given you all the ability to unmute, which means that you can join the conversation as the topics are coming up. But I just wanted to share that with the group.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for sharing with us, Jess, here. So I guess we'll start off by saying to everybody that's here, if you are willing to come off of camera, depending on where you are, if you're doing clinical things, by all means, definitely share with us and kind of come along to be able to come on camera. Um, and then I think probably the first thing that we can do is I was really looking forward to getting an understanding of what brought everybody into ISHLT. So I would love to hear, starting with some of our ECTC members themselves. Bailey, how was it that you got involved with ISHLT in the first place?
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. So my name is Bailey Colvin. I'm the pharmacy representative to ECTC. So I do advanced heart failure and pulmonary hypertension. So I'm kind of involved in a couple IDNs. And I got involved during residency training. So for pharmacy, we do 2 years of residency training as well. And one of my preceptors was involved in the community at Horn. So I think that's probably how many of you may have gotten involved to begin with too, some type of mentor pushing you. And then there's a call for or reviewing of abstracts that goes out every summer. And I was just like, why not do this? It takes a couple hours of your time. And I did it for 2 years in a row. And then somebody reached out to me to be involved in programming committee because my name had popped up a couple times. So after you start doing little stuff, I think people recognize that you're willing to volunteer and it kind of leads you to the next steps. And that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's really nice to kind of highlight the fact that these organic mentorships and being pulled into the community is really a very similar way that a lot of people get pulled in. I also see that Morgan's on the call. Morgan, how did you get involved in ISHLC?
Yes. So my name is Morgan. I'm the nursing allied health representative for ECTC, and very similar to Bailey, I just had people like where I work that are very involved in ISHLT that kind of pulled me into different things and encouraged me to submit abstracts or review abstracts and do that kind of stuff. And then at the meetings, there's like the happy hour type things and the receptions where you can meet other people. And so I just met others through that and then got involved in Journal Watch and a few other things. So I think there's always a million different things that you can do. So, and some of them don't require that, like she was saying, don't require that much time. So I think it is nice to have different opportunities that way.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And as I am getting ready to share my story and point out a couple of our other ECT members here on the call, one of the things that I was going to ask the group too is whether they have gotten any questions ahead of time um, in terms of did we forward out the um, program ahead of time, Jess?
Yeah, we did, and I can put that in the chat as well. Also,
Perfect.
folks, if you're getting a question from Zoom to be promoted to panelist, it's not spam, it's us trying to give you the ability to share your cameras. So if you want to share your cameras, please accept that.
Yep. As Jess kind of shares this box document here, in this document we have a couple of different questions that we were hoping to break out into discussion about today, really broken into kind of two main points. So the first of which being ways that you get involved in the community. So going beyond giving, how can you be a meaningful member of the ISHLT community? And then the second half of the time of our time together, we were hoping to talk a little bit more about what sorts of things you might get from ISHLT in return, or ideas you have for different things that ISHLT might be able to start working on to be beneficial through the society. So I see also that Anshu's on the call, and I was wondering, Anshu, if you can share how it was that you got involved with ISHLT.
Sorry, I just got home, so I'm not on camera.
That's okay. Yeah.
But I work at an institution where we have a lot of very active members of ISHLT. So that was the main impetus. And so I've mainly been an observer and, listening in, but I am very interested in getting more involved.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And I see Madeline's on the call too, Madeline Heldman.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I am the infectious diseases ECTC representative. And I can't remember exactly how I got involved in ISHLT other than that transplant ID is kind of a funny profession because we are infectious disease doctors with one hat and then transplant professionals in another hat. And what I really like about ISHLT is and transplant in general is just how multidisciplinary it is and the opportunity to work really, really closely with people who see patients with a very different lens. And so I feel like this has been a really great opportunity to meet other early career people who take care of the same patients, but maybe think about things differently.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. And then I think Lorenzo's on as well too. Lorenzo, how long have you been involved?
Hi, yes, yeah, and I have kids in the car, and I apologize for that, for the extra round. I've been a member of the ISHLT since 2016 when I was an early career, just started my Duke fellowship. Sorry, wait a second.
Merge safely.
Yeah.
Hi, and in 2016 I joined. I was an early career, and I did just went to the first meeting. Then I was able to get an abstract accepted, and then from then I, under the guidance of more senior people at Duke, like Lori Snyder and Scott Palmer, I really decided to get more involved, and I did abstract reviewer and poster presentation and poster committees, and so that was very good, and that led me to this position. And for the last couple of years, working with the IDN and the pulmonology group.
Yeah, that's great. And I will share that I also got involved with ISHLT pretty early on. So I'm currently a pulmonary and critical care fellow at Duke, and I got involved with ISHLT when I was a resident. I had a mentor that I was working on research with, that I was in a transplant clinic with in lung transplant. And we took an abstract to the meeting together, and I was introduced to all different kinds of people. And I remember that year, Patricia was one of the people involved in standards and guidelines, and she stood up in front of the room in one of the full meeting sessions, and she said that she was looking for people to get more involved, and that like joining into standards and guidelines is something that's always open to everybody. And I just remember walking up to her after that session and being like, "Hi, how can I get involved?" And 2 years later, here I am. So I would say that one of my favorite things about being involved with ISHLT has just been how welcoming the community has been, for sure, even across disciplines and different communities. So I think as we kind of move through some of the questions on this sheet, thinking about ways that you can get involved, I'm curious whether or not anybody would be interested in developing new training resources for use by members, or if anyone has specific ideas about things that we might be able to utilize or to work on developing together as a group.
Does anybody have favorite resources from ISHLT that you like to use that we can know to like bounce off of those? We're really hoping to hear from you guys. This is supposed to be for you, so we can make sure we're doing content for all of you.
Yeah, feel free to unmute, or if that's not working for you, you can always put it in the chat or in the Q&A.
Hi, so my name is Benjamin Ramirez. I'm from Costa Rica, but I just started a fellowship in UF, a lung transplant fellowship. So I acknowledge and understand that every center has like their own protocol, but protocols usually differ quite a bit. But I think it would be nice if we could have like somewhat or recommendations in general, like regarding immunosuppression and maintenance immunosuppression.
Mm, yeah, definitely.
What
So
the
highlighting. Go
the
ahead.
problem is that what I usually get replied is like, oh, you should like go check your local, like do it as how your local protocol does it. But I mean, some programs are actually starting their lung transplant program, so it would be interesting. Like if there's, I know there it can't be probably not guidelines, but I don't know, like a review paper or something.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the ideas that has come up before in the past is potentially coming up with a reading list that kind of goes through some of the different consensus and guideline documents that have been put out there by ISHLT in terms of like best practices within the field, but then kind of narrowing down in on the ones that are most practice dependent and being able to share those in perhaps like a summary version with infographics. I'm curious, is that something that you think would be a little bit more friendly to interact with rather than like all the pages of consensus documents?
I mean, probably like for like easy cheat sheets and stuff that I mean could be like practical for new fellows or people that are just getting exposed to lung transplant.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Some more educational resources for sure. Um, And I'm wondering if anybody in the group is specifically in any other professional societies related to transplant or any other groups that they feel like there might be like different collaboration or things that we can do.
One of the things that I think AST does really well is they have like 10, like transplant in 10 minutes and these like 10-minute talks on core concepts in transplant done by more senior people in the field who are really good educators and kind of go over the baseline, what you need to know, but also give a little bit of pearls and words of wisdom that I've found very helpful. And I don't know that if ISHLT has anything similar to that.
Mhm.
I kind of would have to agree. My name is Alex Waits. I'm a PGY6. I'm currently at Duke, but I did a CV anesthesia fellowship at Texas Heart Institute last year. And I have to say, I had so many trainees come to me saying, what kind of lines do I need for this case? Do I need to put Amicar in my drips? What is standard of management for a heart transplant, lung transplant? And in a case that does so much volume, can I expect that we're going to be using ECMO in this bolt, which actually was an ongoing study with Dr. Lohr, but point being the same, I don't think that that is standardized at every institution, and it might be worthwhile to do a consensus guidelines review or something for those of us who are interested. And there is a lot of variability in how we perform these cases. So something to think about.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for sharing, Alexandra.
Hi, this is Maya Nackmus from Vienna. I've been having technical issues, so I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, good. I don't think you can see me, but at least you can hear me. I'm a member of the pathology community, which might add a little bit of a unique perspective to things, and I think we're always happy to be included in every sort of guidelines and recommendations stuff because I think currently we're not being overlooked, but because it's a bit of a niche subgroup of ISHLT, just trying to reach out and say we're here, we're happy to give input wherever that's required. So yeah, happy to do that for the PATH community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I guess one of the things I'm curious about is, does anybody have any specific resources that they feel like we're really helpful in getting involved with the society, or different resources they wish that they had more of?
Well, the one resource I wish I had more of was money. And I'm saying that because I think that is actually, at least in ID, one of the biggest barriers to trainee and junior faculty involvement in ISHLT is just the cost of membership. And actually, I've gotten sucked into being members of other societies by getting a discounted rate as a trainee, or having a mentor pay for my initial year of membership, and then kind of becoming hooked and like continuing to value that membership year after year.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a great point, and a great platform to kind of highlight the fact that this year, the society has been really invested in being able to reduce trainee fees. So starting this renewal period, there's going to be, I believe, about a 70% reduction in trainee dues, for joining the society, which is a huge development. And aside from having mentors pay for, membership, which I think a lot of people have been lucky to have before in the past. I think that's a huge barrier that we've been, bringing down in terms of being able to have, more access in a way. And then the trainee scholarships, for different grants, and for, travel for the annual meeting, or other things too, that are definitely a big hit in terms of being able to open up accessibility for people.
That's awesome. Wonderful to hear it.
I think we are trying for the annual meeting next year, and certainly for Australia too, where it will be even a bigger barrier to increase the number of travel scholarships for our members around the world. So hopefully that will be a help to reduce that barrier that you mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. This is a little bit of a different topic area, but, I know that some different societies do different sorts of practical skills training, at annual meetings and things like that. Is that something that anybody is intrigued by, something that could be useful, more or less of that?
It's an interesting idea, right? Because we have our society is very multidisciplinary, so the hands-on training might look different for different subspecialties. But this year in Toronto, we will be doing hands-on training for surgical organ procurement, and so that promises hopefully to be a great opportunity. But the question is, for years to come, would there be other opportunities that would have more hands-on, in addition to the didactics, have a more hands-on experience?
Yeah, and I could definitely see within the realms of, both heart and lung, something that's like a big component of practice is doing surveillance, biopsies and things like that. So, certainly something that we all do, but don't necessarily talk about at the meeting in terms of skill sessions for trainees and things like that. Mhm.
So I have personally not yet attended ISHLT, although I've wanted to for a few years, but I was wondering, I mean, this is kind of reaching for the stars type of question, but would you ever consider having your speakers for some of your keynote presentations meet with the ECTC committee? And the reason that I'm asking that is because some individuals come from institutions where there may not be a lot of outright mentorship, for up and coming ECTC members. And, maybe having the opportunity, whether it's keynote presenters or faculty in general who have a heart for mentorship, some way where learners and people in the up and coming ECTC community can identify mentors or people if they did want to do a simulation session. Perhaps there's a surgeon who offers that at Iowa, or an opportunity for them to put a face with a name and not just be another generic email asking for help getting involved in a sim practice course or something like that. I don't know if that's something, I'm sure there are ECTC get-togethers at ISHLT, but something where you could connect them with potential sponsors or mentors, I think would be really, really cool, especially for people who are dying for that at their own institution and may or may not have that level of meeting in the middle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I will share that one of the things that we do every year at the annual meeting is that we usually host like a different mentor meet and greet. That's specifically for early career and trainee members, and we invite a lot of different people from all of the different professional communities to help connect people with mentors from other areas. But something we haven't done before is focus on ways to get interactions going with different like plenary speakers or things like that. So I think that's a really, really interesting thought. I see Sue's hand is up. What you got, Sue?
Hi, I'm Sue Besner. I'm the Director of Education and Research at ISHLT. And Alexandra, I really like that idea. I am going to take that back to our program planning committee. I think just to have, an opportunity, because especially our symposium presenters, they tend to be the highly regarded experts in our field. So I think that's a really good idea. And just so everyone knows, that part of pre-conference day this year, we are going to be doing our first ever trainee workshop. So we are working with 3 chairs who are all past chairs of the ECTC to develop that program content. So any ideas that you all have that you would like to see as part of a full day event that will be held on pre-conference day for you all, please feel free to reach out to me, or, if you have anything that, we would like to do a combination of education, but also, more soft skills as well. So anything that you can think of, you can put it in the chat now or send me an email. We would love, your help in making sure this program is content that you would like to see.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sue. So one of the other things that has come through is really a good question, and one that I've thought of before in the past, is that uh, sometimes when you go to the annual meeting, you can't go to every session that you hope to go to. So there's the question of whether or not it's possible to record and share those recordings post-meeting. I know Jess is in the process of kind of putting together an answer for that. Is that something we already do?
It's not something we're doing at the moment. I know Sue can speak more specifically to any plans around this, but typically what we do make available are obviously abstracts and things like that. Sue, I don't know if you want to make a comment about recording.
Yeah, unfortunately, in this post-COVID world, recordings of meetings are very expensive, and we've got some data points, specifically with the 2022 meeting where we did offer recordings, and prior to that, that I think everybody has really good intentions of listening to recordings, but the data that we have shows that people don't take advantage of them. So it is always something that the Education Oversight Committee is reviewing, and we will continue to do so. But at this point in time, we will not be offering recordings for ISHLT 2026.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of the other things I was hoping to kind of bring back up too, especially in the context of Alex's ideas as well about mentorship. I know there used to be a mentorship program through ISHLT Connect, and one of the things that we've always struggled with is creating a mentorship program that everybody's excited to use, or that is like really well aligned with what people are hoping to get out of it. So I'm curious if anybody on the call has ever seen a mentorship group that through like another organization that has been really well received, or if you had an idea of like what a mentorship platform would look like, what sorts of things would you want to be the case in order for it to be successful? I see Neha's hand is up. What you got?
Yeah, so hi, can you hear me okay?
Sure
Okay,
can.
great. So a couple of mentorship programs that come to mind. One was run through the AHA, American Heart Association. And, even ISHLT used to have it. And, we tried connecting through ISHLT Connect, but it was difficult to, I guess, just to have traction. It was, I think, just a little tough to navigate the website itself. But like through the AHA, what was happening was that people were getting paired, randomly. And like an MD would get paired with a PhD. I think those pairings were not as successful long term, just because the fields were very different and varied. So I think for a mentorship program to thrive, the pairings have to be curated very well. I think somebody has to go through the applications, sit down, make sure those mentor and mentee are well suited for each other, and that takes time and effort. And that is, I think, where a lot of the mentor mentee programs succeed or fail, is how much effort is being put to pair those mentor and mentee. The Pediatric Heart Transplant Society actually does a great mentor mentee program, but obviously we're a much smaller society and smaller number of applicants, and so it's more manageable. But I can sense that at ISHLT it might get really quickly out of hand because you want to pair the right people together. So just my 2 cents.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I've noticed before too is that to your comment of like it being a smaller society, we do have kind of like the society structure of things being broken down into our smaller communities. I wonder if maybe a way forward is to kind of start pursuing mentorship programs that are run through the professional communities, to kind of make it a little bit smaller of a chunk. The challenging thing will be needing to find the manpower to make the matches, though, for sure. As always. Um, I guess one of the other things that I was wondering about was whether or not there's a need for more networking outside of the annual meeting, and what would that look like? Is it something that we would necessarily do virtually, or is it worthwhile to do another meeting? I know Dr. Selleck was just sharing that we're going to be having our new ECTC specific area or forum for this too. So that could be another way of having more networking outside of the annual meeting. But I'm curious if anybody has any visions for what a more regular touch base might have looked like. I've seen this done in some organizations through like monthly conferences of some sort with a hot topic. But I don't know if that's something that everybody would be interested in attending or not.
I know women in CT anesthesia, WICTA, has been successful doing something like what you're describing, where they have a professional from somewhere across the United States or even outside the United States talk about things like how to move forward in the academic realm as an MD, or various topics like that, contract negotiations, using social media judiciously as an up and coming academic. So I mean, that's definitely a possibility if you wanted to make part of that an educational session, but also it serves as getting someone from the ECTC community together before or after for announcements and things like that.
Yeah, I love that idea. That's great. And Neha?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to what Andrea was saying. I think, just having a happy hour, where people can connect, um, on a regular basis, like, virtual happy hour, obviously, but it would be great to, to connect like outside of the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also other meetings like ELSO, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people on ISHLT who also attend ELSO or, you know, SCA, Society of Cardiovascular Anesthesia. Anytime those other national meetings are going on, I think it's wise to take advantage of those get-togethers because there are trainees who are probably going to those and know no one and would like to maybe connect in that way, like a 2-for-1 type of get-together.
Yeah. Definitely. I will say, one of the things that has come up recently for me has been within the lung transplant community. There's a group, an organization called Wild, that's a group of women in transplant that are getting together and really starting to have more networking done as well too. And one of the things we did this year was launch a WhatsApp group within that organization where even though it's like, I think the only difference between this and something like ISHLT Connect is that it's just on a platform people are more familiar with. We have like a clinical conundrums chat that gets at least 2 or 3 messages a week that people are kind of like posting and discussing year round different sorts of cases and things like that. And it's another way to kind of like, there's different breakout rooms that are clinical conundrums or some things that are more social, kind of like a happy hour, like what you were mentioning, Neha. Different ways to kind of bring people together. And from that, we've had a group come together that's going to be doing a multi-center publication as well too. So sometimes different networking opportunities come together. Mhm. So I think,
Sorry, the only thing that I would say with those happy hours sometimes, I mean, it is tough for people who want mentorship, who are young in their career, who also have young kids, as recently as myself. I'm realizing that a 6 p.m. meeting is such a terrible time for us to attend. And so, you know, maybe like if the ECTC committee does decide to move forward with these virtual happy hours, maybe trying to find times that work for like different, you know, across different time zones that are not really prohibitive for young faculty with potentially young kids to attend might be a good starting point.
yeah, absolutely. I think finding the right time frame within all the time zones is one of the hardest challenges that there's been across the years. Yeah, so I think it sounds like a lot of people are coming up with a lot of different good ideas about different mentorship sorts of programs, different ways that we might be creating more educational materials. And I know we have the plug with Sue here to be able to reach out and have further connections to set up our day before pre-conference, so that we'll be able to kind of get that set up as a first little trial run. Big trial run, I should say. I know reading lists are something that we've been thinking a lot about in terms of educational material. Mentor-mentee programs are always a hot topic. And then networking outside of the meeting is something for further collaboration and thought that I think we'll all be putting different thoughts into. One of the things that I want to make sure to give time for is that I'm going to put up our slide again, just showing some of the different things that are coming up in terms of different ways that you might get involved, different ways you might be supported, because I know that we're kind of coming up on the hour here in terms of finishing our time together. And I definitely want to make sure to keep this available so everyone can kind of start flagging some of these different deadlines and things for themselves. But I think mostly I just wanted to thank everybody for coming and sharing ideas. I think there's a lot of stuff for us to work with here. And really, I think one of the things to look out for too is the membership registration is going to be coming out soon with the different reduced fees for trainees and things like that. So hopefully everyone will be able to kind of take advantage of that. And The last thing that I'm going to ask too is that afterwards we'll send out the slide deck, and then we will also be sending out a little survey for you to share some of your information with us as well too, so we could keep you in mind for future opportunities. So please feel free to fill that out when we send you our follow-up emails after the events. But otherwise, thank you all for coming, and we'll kind of stick around in case anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Andrea, and everybody for attending today.
Okay. Thanks everyone very much. If you do come up with questions, you can put them in the survey that we'll send around. You can send an email to us at information@ishlt.org, or we will see you at the next roundtable or on ISHLT Connect.